Welcome to Boston Territory, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday, right? It is Monday. I don't know what day it is because I feel like I'm detached from the world. I still don't have my Twitter account. We're still locked out. We're still hacked. I don't know what's going on in the world. It's really weird, looking at Twitter pretty much every day. You could probably say that's a little unhealthy. But when you don't got it, well, I've been using a bit of a backup account, but I don't remember all the accounts that I'm following. So, I just feel detached from everything. It's really weird. Elon Musk, if you're out there, please help me out. Help a brother out. But the show must go on, Twitter or not. And we're going to be talking about, we're still waiting for things to happen. So, we're going to be talking about similar topics that we've been talking about up to this point. But I'm going to focus on the lineup. And we were talking about Alex Spear. He went on Nesson a few days ago, and we got a bit of a report from him saying that he was having a suspicion about the Red Sox only going after and landing one premium bat, and he was thinking they're probably not going to get two. So what that means is Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber, right? It's either going to be one or the other, Alex Bregman or Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber or Bo Bichette. So, a lot of us were thinking, well, what the heck's going on? We're thinking, hey, bring back Bregman, go after Pete Alonso. You got yourself a pretty nifty lineup right there. You're looking pretty good because you need to add some power to the lineup. So, hey, Bregman back in the fold, Pete Alonso, the polar bear in there, maybe Kyle Schwarber, and you're looking pretty good. So now we got to kind of adjust our thinking. And, with the Red Sox front office, they've gotten themselves back to the point here where they have rebuilt that sustainability. They've gotten the farm system back in a good place, but they also, and yes, they have signed guys to, some good contracts here over the last year. Garrett Crochet, 6-year deal. Roman Anthony, long-term deal. Christian Campbell. Alex Bregman, yes, he opted out, but they got him on the short-term deal. You'd like to have him back, but the Red Sox, they're at a place now where, yes, they want to be competing every single year, but they don't want to get themselves locked in to too many long-term contracts, right? So I can understand that kind of thinking. It's not my money. I would like for them to go land the best possible players out there. I'd love for Bregman, Pete Alonso, and Kyle Schwarber. What can I say? I'm greedy. I would love all of them. But realistically, if the Red Sox want to stay out of, getting locked into too many bad long-term contracts to end up not aging very well towards the end, then I can understand that point of view. So we're going to look at some other options here. I got some possible lineups here. I got 8 different lineups. I could have 9 different lineups. I got one more guy that I'm going to save for the end. I got a lot of different options here. What a lineup could look like for the Red Sox. Again, 8 different options plus a bonus one. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. If you are live with me here, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 6K by opening day. I think we can do that. Let's get to it here. Let's not waste any more time, shall we? Let's take a look at the current Red Sox lineup before I really dive in here. So, taking a look-see. So, as of right now, obviously the Red Sox, there's just so much to do. We're waiting for any sort of moves at this point. There is just nothing going on. We had the Brandon Nimmo, Marcus Semien trade yesterday. That just completely came out of left field. But I think what the trades that we've seen up to this point, Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward, Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien, get yourself prepared for the unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen. We could sit here and play armchair GM all day, every day, but we truly don't know what the desires are behind the scenes. And it feels like these front offices are really keeping themselves tight-lipped. We're not hearing anything. That trade yesterday came out of left field, came out of nowhere. We're hearing the biggest story I feel like we've been hearing so far this offseason is that the Pirates and the Marlins want to spend money. And Josh Naylor went back to the Mariners, right? I feel like that's all we've been hearing. Again, we still got a ways to go here. There's a lot of offseason left. We got the winter meetings not too far away. We're off to a pretty slow start. And you just don't know what are going to be the desires for all of these teams out there. I'll say it again. Expect the unexpected. And I think the Red Sox could absolutely be in that mix because they could do so many things. We're thinking about, okay, Jarren Duran, where is he going to get traded? Could it be Willie Abreu? You know, I mean, you never know. The Red Sox, they have work to do with this lineup. And we're talking, about additions here, but you got to figure out, what's going to happen with this outfield. So, as of right now, let's go over the current projected lineup. Roman Anthony leading off, Jarren Duran batting second, Trevor Story batting third, Willie Abreu batting fourth, Masataka Yoshida batting fifth. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be with the Red Sox next year? Carlos Narvaez batting sixth. Tristan Casas, if he is ready for opening day, batting seventh. Marcelo Meyer playing third, batting eighth. And Cedar Rafaela, funny enough, they have him at second base here. Well, that's definitely not going to be that way. But they have him batting ninth. So, yeah, we all want Seti out in center field. That's where he needs to be. Jarren Duran, I feel like, is the most likely to get moved. Now, what could some lineups look like? So, again, Alex Spear talking the other day saying probably not going to land two of the very expensive bats. Again, Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso. Alex Bregman and Kyle Schwarber. Alex Bregman and Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette and Pete Alonso. Those combinations are probably not going to happen. Alex Spear, I trust what that man says. Now, he did say he has a suspicion, but the fact that John Morosi was saying the same thing, I kind of wonder if maybe they're tapping into other teams out there, and I think teams are getting a good idea of what other teams want to do, but I think everyone's being as tight-lipped as possible about it, especially when it comes to the public. Alex Spear, I do trust him. He is someone, he will not put something out there unless he has truly heard it. So that's kind of the sense that I'm getting. And he was saying, again, if Bregman comes back, then you're probably looking at maybe a lower tier bat. He mentioned a couple of names. I think he said Jorge Polanco in this interview. Could be wrong about that, but he would fit into that tier. He did mention Eugenio Suarez. Would he be too expensive? But he did mention as well, you could get him on a shorter deal because he just turned 34 years old. Could you get Suarez on a 3-year deal? Would he want a 4th year? Would a team budge for a 4th year out there? I could see that being possible. I don't know. We'll see. But get that in your head right now. My guess is it's either going to be Bregman, Alonso, or Schwarber. I think it's going to be one of those three. And I've been on record plenty of times, and I will eat my words. I've been saying all along, I think the Red Sox are going to bring Bregman back. I just think he's a perfect fit, both on and off the field. You don't need to hear me go into that anymore. I've given you all the reasons on so many episodes. Bregman is a great fit in Boston. But you do need power in the middle of the order. And when we think about successful Red Sox teams over the years, and not even just the Red Sox teams that won World Series, but also teams that were in contention, making the postseason, right? 2004, 2007, you had Big Papi and Manny. David Ortiz, 2013. Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez, 2018. Even in 2021, when they made it back to the postseason, then you had Rafi and you had Hunter Renfroe as well. All those guys hitting 30-plus home runs. Successful teams, especially postseason Red Sox teams, have had success when you're hitting dingers. They're game-changing events in the postseason, right? When you're going up against good pitching, you're not going to have, especially in the postseason, you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to do damage. But one swing of the bat can change a whole game. Bo Bichette, we just saw it firsthand in Game 7. Did the Blue Jays win the World Series? No. But the Blue Jays had the Dodgers on the edge all the way until the end. If Bo Bichette doesn't hit that home run, well, then that's an easy win for the Dodgers, right? But those events change the game in the postseason. Obviously, Miguel Rojas obviously tying the game right there in the end, Will Smith, you saw it firsthand in Game 7. You're not going to have a lot of opportunities to do damage. It's hard to string together a lot of, base hit, double, back-to-back doubles, right? It's hard to do that against good pitching these days, right? The stuff is so good, the velo's so good, but you hang one over the plate by accident, you make a mistake, home run over the left field fence, right? So that's why you want some power. You want that threat in the middle of the order. You want other pitching staffs out there to have to readjust when you come to Boston, right? Okay, they got this big bat in the middle of the order. Okay, I gotta think twice about how I'm working this lineup, right? So you need a power bat, right? You batted out of the fourth spot last year, 29th in WRC plus. They were 15th in home runs, and that was with Rafi Devers. I keep mentioning they were 15th in home runs last year. That was with Rafi. After Rafi, I think after he got moved, I think they were bottom 10 in home runs. I think they were 23rd in home runs after Rafi. So, and I know people out there are going to say, "Oh, well, we should have just kept Rafi." Whatever. That's a completely different subject. We're moving on. It is what it is. What can you do? So, let's go over some lineups here. And let's go to my first option. First option. Roman Anthony batting leadoff. And as you can see here, in the 2 spot, we got Ketel Marte, Brendan Donovan at second base. And I have Pete Alonso batting third at DH. I think, I'll be honest, I've been doing some thinking about it. If you are going to get one of the big money bats, Bregman, Alonso, Schwarber, Bichette, you need power. You need power in this lineup. And, would it be nice if Casas was healthy and this guy hit 35 home runs last year? Of course. Then you wouldn't have to really worry about that, right? But you don't know what Casas is going to give you. You don't even know if he's going to be ready for opening day. So I think you have to go out there this offseason. You got to land a bat. You got to do it. Could you move him down? Sure. Could he be your middle of the order bat that can hit 30, 35 home runs? Absolutely. But Roman right now, for me personally, I like him in the leadoff spot. That's just where I'm at, honestly. I don't want to put too much of a weight on Roman Anthony in his sophomore year to be that big bat for the middle of the order. I think he showed he's comfortable in that leadoff spot. He's pretty much comfortable wherever, but he really excelled hitting leadoff. So that's where I'd love Roman. I'd love a good protection behind him. If you're not going to bring Bregman back, I think you got to go make a trade for a second baseman. I think and then you have Marcelo Meyer batting eighth. You could, I guess you could maybe go after another third baseman possibly. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do this. This is kind of just what I was thinking off the top of my head. I do think you need to add not just a middle of the order bat, not just a power bat. You need another one. If it's not going to be Bregman and Alonso, well, then you got to go get another one through a trade. I just think they need 2 bats. And if it's not going to be 2 free agents, well, then make it 1 free agent and 1 trade. You got a lot of assets. You got a lot of prospects within the organization. You got major league ready talent like Jarren Duran. Go make a trade. I mean, again, it comes down to it takes 2 to tango for the trades, but you need 2 bats, in my opinion. It's different if Casas was healthy and he was showing that he is producing in the middle of the order, right? That's kind of where I'm at. So, option number 1, Roman Anthony batting leadoff, Ketel Marte or Brendan Donovan playing second base, batting second. Ketel Marte would be my first choice, but ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if the Diamondbacks are going to trade him. Listen, we can sit here and say all day, man, we got to go get Marte. We got to go get this guy. Go make the trade. Will the D-backs want to trade him? It takes 2, my friends. It takes 2. You can't, listen, this isn't MLB The Show. You can't just load up the game, go to the trade machine, and go put Ketel Marte in and go put trades in until they accept. That's not how it works. That's not real life. Sure, could the D-backs end up moving him? He's been in the rumor mill. He just keeps popping up. I don't know. He was having problems in the clubhouse last year. I guess teammates were not very happy with him at times, but then other teammates were sticking up for him. So I don't know what the deal was with that whole thing with Marte. I don't know. But he's very good, and he's on a very good contract. I wouldn't blame the Diamondbacks at all if they kept him. Listen, you want to go win a World Series. The Diamondbacks were just in a World Series a couple of years ago. If you want to win a World Series, you need good players, so why trade away a good player? I don't know. I would love Marte, but listen, I'm going to be realistic here. I don't know if they'll move him. So, we'll see. And then Brendan Donovan? Listen, Brendan Donovan could be had. Now, he's not going to be that power bat, but let's say you go get Alonso or Schwarber. I am completely okay with getting a high-contact bat like Donovan. And this is a guy who is not really going to strike out a whole bunch. 13% last year, very low. Makes a lot of contact, very high contact percentage. Donovan, no, sure, he's not going to be that 25, 30 home run guy, but he's going to get a good batting average for you. He's also has versatility, so I could see Alex Cora loving to have someone like Donovan. He can move around all over the place, but he could be your second baseman, and he could definitely be had. Now, I know people out there, they're going to say, oh, Chaim Bloom is not going to make a move with the Red Sox. Listen, Chaim Bloom, he's probably still grumpy about his time with the Red Sox. He's probably still got some sour grapes, but he's with the Cardinals now, and if he has an opportunity to improve the Cardinals organization, he cannot let any bad feelings get in the way. You can't do that, right? So if there's an opportunity, if you're not going to bring back Bregman, that's the one thing I'm going to make clear here. If you're not bringing back Bregman, then I think Donovan could be an option, right? Because Bregman is a guy, he's good plate discipline. He's going to get more walks than Donovan. But, I'd like to have someone like Donovan in the fold if it was possible. Now, when it comes to these two, this is where, now let's say the D-backs are open to moving Ketel Marte. Well, it's going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you an absolute haul. As you can see right now, he has a trade surplus value of $60 million. Well, just to give you a comparison here, when it comes to Red Sox players that are at around that surplus, what do I mean when I say surplus? There might be someone here in the chat that might not knows what that means. You take the projected field value of that player over the course of however long they're under control. So for Roman Anthony, for example, and this is right now, these values, they are dynamic. They can change, right? Projections change. Right? I mean, listen, you can look at zips and steamers all you want, but you don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. Roman Anthony right now has a median surplus value of $61 million. That could be way higher next year, but as of right now, with the public data that you have, with the projections that are available to the public, you take his field value, you subtract the contract that we know he is going to make, and then it spits out that surplus. $61 million, I think, is low, but because I do think he's going to have more field value than that moving forward. But you're just going off the public data. So anyway, I'm just saying, Roman Anthony, Ketel Marte, surplus value, they're right around the same, right? But again, there's so many other factors that come into play. Roman Anthony's on a 9-year contract. Ketel Marte, what does he got left? He's got 5 years left. So it's not a value of the player. It's a value of the entire package. Field value minus money equals surplus value. So but there's so many different variables that come into play with that. So yeah. But we're not trading Roman Anthony for Ketel Marte. I don't think you're trading Marcelo Meyer. Marcelo Meyer has a good surplus value as well. This is where I look at Jarren Duran. But then again, Duran right now is right around a $50 million median value. Could you do something with Duran? The Diamondbacks do need pitching, So could you do something with Duran? I don't know. They're very high on Peyton Tolley. Do they do that? Connolly Early, he has very good surplus value right now. He's projected at $30 million, and he has a very good floor, in my opinion. So I understand the high value with him. Wilyer Bray's at 25. So I don't know. Do the Diamondbacks do a bit of a sidestep where they move Marte, where if there is an issue with the clubhouse, with the vibes, maybe they feel like they need to move on. Maybe they feel like he needs a change of scenery. I don't know. I'm not sure. But if they feel like the juice is worth the squeeze, then maybe they think, okay, we can go get someone like Wilyer or Duran from the Red Sox. They got some pitching over there where we can still keep our team competitive, but we're just replacing Marte with a couple of different guys, right? To us Red Sox fans, yes, that sounds like it works. Sounds like it's a match made in heaven, but you don't know what the D-backs want. That's the only sticking point there. It comes down to what do they want to do? And even if they want to move Ketel Marte, are the Red Sox players what they prefer? If he is available and other teams are calling, well, the Mets are definitely not calling him right now because they just got Marcus Semien, and all the Mets fans across the land were thinking, oh man, Ketel Marte, perfect fit for the Mets. Well, they're off the board now if he is on the block. So I don't know. So if other teams get in the mix, do the D-backs prefer the Red Sox players or maybe some other teams that whatever offers they put on the board? Really depends. Trades are tricky. All right, so Marte, off the bat, Duran or Wilyer throwing some pitching, maybe some young players. Someone like Cutter Crawford, even. Crawford is really a high floor, 3-4 in the rotation, but they could use innings, but he is coming off of a wrist injury. I don't know. But that is someone where maybe you could throw him in to sweeten the pot or whatever. The Red Sox have guys that I think could get a deal done if they wanted to go this route. Now, Brendan Donovan, on the other hand, he will be cheaper. He has less years of control. He has 2 years left, which honestly, that could be a pretty good fit timeline-wise for the Red Sox because, you don't know what's going to happen with Christian Campbell here. Is he going to be an outfielder? Craig Breslow mentioned the outfield, or is he going to be a second baseman? What is Christian Campbell? I think the plan moving forward is probably just to keep him in the outfield, but I don't know. Could they revisit second base? If you got Brendan Donovan, you would have him for a couple of years. You wouldn't really have to worry about that position. It's been a black hole. But then you got Franklin Arias coming up at some point if he keeps progressing the way he is. So I think Brendan Donovan fits timeline-wise pretty well if they were to go this route. Hey, if you got Donovan and a nice power bat like Pete Alonso, hey, you're getting more contact in the lineup, you're getting less strikeouts, and you're getting a power bat with Pete Alonso. I think a combination of Donovan and Pete Alonso would actually be pretty solid. Ketel Marte, of course, too. Ketel Marte, he does everything well, right? But, hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. We'll see. And also, I'll say this, I wonder, looking at this lineup here, let's say, I'm thinking on the fly right now. Give my potato brain a moment. Let's say they went after Donovan. Heim, Tristan Casas has that familiarity. Heim is doing a bit of a reset there in St. Louis. And Casas, his name, I don't remember where he was popping up last offseason, but he was popping up in little places when it came to Red Sox Cardinals rumors. I don't know. I'm not sure what the validity of that was. Could you do something there where you send back Casas and, a couple of prospects? They get a major league ready player in Casas, some young talent to put it within the organization. And then you get Donovan back. I don't know. And then if you sign Pete Alonso, he could be your first baseman. But then you'd have to figure out, Alonso's not really a first baseman moving forward. You could probably argue Casas might not be really the greatest first baseman moving forward either. Defensively, he wasn't amazing out there. And with the injuries, Casas might actually be a better fit at DH. I don't know. So if you did that route, if you sent back Casas in a Donovan deal, I don't know. You'd have to figure out what's the deal at first base. Honestly, could you send back Casas in a deal for Donovan, sign Pete Alonso, and then go after another first baseman out there? I don't know. And then Alonso can be your DH. Go after someone like Ryan O'Hearn or something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking on the fly here. There's so many different possibilities. But that is it for option one. I'm going to speed through the other options here. But if you do want to see the rest of the show and you're watching this on Nessun, I do have to wrap it up right there. We're out of time here on Nessun. If you want to see the rest of the show, come on over to YouTube, Monster Territory, and see what I got to say. But Nessun viewers, I'll talk to you next time. So let's go to option number 2. Before we do, though, we do have a word from our sponsor. I'll be right back.
Hey, for all the parents out there with teens, it's more hectic now than ever.
Cash App's going to help, not hurt.
With the Cash App card, available to teens 13 to 17 with sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, every transaction triggers a real-time notification for you to see, empowering your teen to practice independence while giving you peace of mind by keeping track of their spending. You can also manage everything directly from your own Cash App account without having to switch between the two. With the Cash App card, you and your teen's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock their card right from your phone in just one tap. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Option number 2. Let's take a look. What do I got here? Well, it's pretty much similar to option number 1. The difference here, though, is Kyle Schwarber at DH. Roman Anthony batting leadoff. Again, Ketel Marte or Donovan at second base, batting second. Kyle Schwarber batting third, DH. Trevor Story in the cleanup spot at short. Casas at first base, batting fifth. Wilyer Abreu in right, batting sixth. Narvaez batting seventh. Marcelo Meyer at third, batting eighth. Seti center field, batting ninth. So really the only difference here is Schwarber's your DH. No, he's not going to be your full-time first baseman. That was fun back in 2021, but no, Schwarber, that's your rock at the DH spot. So Casas would be your first baseman in that situation unless they did something different. But in this scenario, again, you're signing a big bat in Schwarber. You would have to give up a draft pick. You would have to give up international signing money at that point. And then you're making a trade, again, for either someone like Marte or Donovan. So very similar to Alonso, but the difference is Schwarber would be your everyday DH. Maybe a game or two at first base. I don't know. So that would be that. Very similar to option number 1. And another difference here is because he's a lefty bat, Alonso's the righty, and Cora, he likes to go with the lefty righties a lot. He doesn't like to string too many. Obviously, if you have to, I mean, he will. But in this situation, Roman, Marte, Donovan. Well, Marte's a switch hitter, but you'd have that at the top, and then Schwarber batting third, Story batting fourth. That would be the lefty-righty, then Casas. But the problem with this lineup is that Casas and Wilyer Abreu batting 5-6, back-to-back lefties. I'm not sure if that's going to be something you want to do. The only reason I don't want to put Casas up any higher, because remember, he was struggling before he got injured. So, I don't want to put him in the cleanup spot. You know what I mean? Unless he just balled out in spring training and, and he was healthy and he was good to go. But right now, looking at this, I don't like the lineup very much because it's lefty there. So, I don't know. It is what it is. But I like Schwarber, though. Option number 3. This is where we get a little more creative. This is where Bregman comes back. Bregman back in the fold. Roman Anthony batting leadoff in left. Bregman, third base, batting second. Kazuma Okamoto at first base. And I wonder if he could be an option. Now, taking a look. We haven't been hearing a whole lot with Okamoto. We've been hearing teams like the Angels are showing interest. I think the Pirates, I guess, are involved with everyone, ladies and gentlemen. The Pirates are looking to spend some dough, or Paul Skeens is basically going to force his way out of there. So, with Okamoto, I do think he's a good fit at Fenway Park. He has a little bit of versatility that can play into the Red Sox favor. He'd be fine. I mean, he's not going to be an amazing defender at first base, but he'll get the job done. He'll be better than Casas or Alonso. But what I like about Okamoto is he's got pull power. He pulls the ball a lot. Now, he would have to get adjusted to major league pitching, but with his batted ball profile, looks like on the surface he would be a good fit. Now, the problem with Okamoto is you don't know what you're going to get. At the end of the day, we all thought Yoshida was going to be a great hitter for the Red Sox, and he would be awesome. And we all have seen what's happened there. With Okamoto, do I think he is going to be a good hitter in the major leagues? Yeah, I think so. He has good plate discipline. I think he'll end up being fine. But is he going to be that big power bat that you want? you just don't know the answer, right? I think it would be a fun fit, but I'm not sure if that's the biggest lock that you would want for a guy that's going to give you production in the middle of the order. It's basically a wait and see. After him, Casas again. I have him batting fourth here. I don't know. I'm just looking at the righty-lefty splits. You could just have Story batting cleanup. Casas, again, I'm not a fan of batting him higher in the order until he really proves himself. First off, that he's healthy, and he's doing what he was doing a couple of years ago, right? Willier batting sixth, Narvaez batting seventh, Meyer 8, Rossetti in the 9th spot. Another interesting option out there. I forgot to change it. Option number 4. I made a typo. Yandy Diaz. Could you maybe do something with the Rays? The Rays are, they've already cut ties with Pete Fairbanks, even though he was very good, but this is what the Rays do. They like to cut costs any way they can. One thing is they love Yandy, but if they were to go in a different route, maybe this could be an option. Would they want to trade Yandy in division? I'm not so sure. I don't know about that. But he would be great in the middle of the order. Now, Yandy, he's going to be more of a power guy, or more of an on-base guy with pop. Right, taking a look at the numbers this past year, hit 300, had a 366 on base, 42 on the slugging, 25 homers, a 135 WRC plus. The most homers he's hit in his career was this past year at 25. So, is he that 30-plus power bat for the middle of the order? Not so much, but he's very good, and he would be solid there for you. Again, Casas 4th, Story 5th. Pretty much the same as the other lineups. Moving on. Option number 4. This is where we get it a little more creative. Let's go back to the Cardinals, shall we? Again, these options are with Bregman back in the fold, and that was with Yandy as well. Roman batting leadoff, Bregman batting second. Again, Casas. I already don't like these lineups after looking at them again because I don't want Casas this high. But I'm looking more so at the righty-lefty splits, right, or the righty-lefty back-to-back in the lineup, right? Could you just go Story batting third and then Wilson Contreras batting fourth? Could he be an option for the Red Sox? I will say this. He was great defensively at first base this past year with the Cardinals. He just moved over there from catching, and he ended up being very good there. So that would improve the Red Sox infield defense. The problem with Contreras, though, is kind of like Yandy, right? Is he going to be, and Okamoto a little bit too, is Wilson Contreras going to be that prototypical middle-of-the-order bat? The most home runs he's hit in a season is 24 with the Cubs. Could he be a 30-home run guy at Fenway Park? Right-handed bat there. He's got pop. He's got good bat speed. A guy that he can definitely hit. What would he be like at Fenway Park? I don't know. But he's a guy that was a very solid player last year, right around a 3-win player. Hit 257, a 344 on base, 447 on the slugging, 124 WRC plus. Good defense at first base. Could he be an option for you? I think it's possible, right? If not, maybe you could turn to the free agent market again, and let's get back to Eugenio Suarez. So could Bregman and Suarez be a possible combination? Now, I have, in this scenario, Suarez playing first base and DH. Him and Casas can kind of bounce back and forth. Suarez has been a third baseman in his career, but I don't see why he would not be open to playing first base, and after the fact that he just turned 34. His defense, it's not amazing at third base, so could he be open to a move across the diamond? I don't see why not. Listen, with Suarez, I like the power, right? 49 home runs. The problem with Suarez, though, I'm not the biggest fan of this idea. If it ends up being, kind of, I don't want to say a last resort, but if other options don't pan out, I guess it wouldn't be the worst thing because he just hit 49 home runs this past year, had a 526 slugging, a 125 WRC plus. This guy would probably feast at Fenway Park at least 30 home runs. That's at a minimum, right? but he strikes out a lot, right around 30%. I'm not a big fan. He's basically all or nothing. He doesn't walk a whole lot. He gives you the power. You are looking for power, but I don't know if it's worth it with the strikeouts. I don't know. But he does fit into, if Bregman is considered, which I do think he is. He's one of the premium bats, one of the top free agents. If you bring him back and you need that power, if trades are not an option that I've talked about here, then maybe Suarez, right? It'd be probably a 3-year deal, 4-year max. I don't know if the Red Sox would want to go 4 years with Suarez. I think Suarez would want to look for a 4th year. I don't know. But he's out there. It's a possible option. Moving on here. How about this one? I don't know how likely it is. Probably not. Could Seiya Suzuki be an option? This has been an idea that Red Sox fans have floated around over, feels like the last couple of years. I know last year people were talking about it. I know Tyler Milliken, friendly friend of the show, he was talking about Seiya Suzuki a lot. Kyle Tucker most likely going to be going elsewhere, so would they want to get rid of Seiya Suzuki? He's got 1 year left on that contract. It really comes down to if they would want to do this. If the Cubs wanted to clear a little bit of payroll, maybe. Now, one thing with Suzuki, he was on the trade block last year. There were talks where they said, hey, if the right offer comes along, maybe they could do something. They had to talk to his agent and everything because there was the whole thing with, where he was going to play because they wanted him to DH most of the time, but he wanted to play some outfield. But size, if they wanted to clear out the last year of his contract and maybe use that money towards, say, Dylan Cease or Framber Valdez or Ranger Suarez, they do want to add some pitching there. Could they part with Suzuki? And they got other bats over there like Owen Casey. I mean, Tucker is going to be leaving probably. So, I mean, you look at the Cubs lineup here. And, you don't have to get rid of Suzuki. You just don't. But you could slide Suzuki out, or you could slide Casey in there. You got Kevin Alcantara as well. James Triantos is a possible guy that can get into the lineup. I don't know. You got a few young guys there, so they could make it work if they wanted to. It all depends on if the Cubs want to move him. I feel like they probably wouldn't. You can't really, you can't just put all your faith in the kids, right? Can't do that. But if they did want to clear some salary, maybe Suzuki could be had. Had a good season this past year. Hit 245, a little low. On base was a little low at 326, but the slugging was at a 478. 32 home runs, a 123 WRC plus. Could he be an option? Maybe. I don't know. Comes down to what the Cubs want to do, like I said. But, hey, right-handed bat. 32 home runs with half a season at Wrigley, which is not amazing, for the hitters, right? It's a bit more of a pitcher-friendly park. So, Suzuki, I think he would fit well at Fenway Park. Again, it comes down to what the Cubs want to do. Let's move on here. The last option. And you're not going to like this one. I know you're not going to like this one. Do I like this one? No, I don't. I don't like this option very much. Marcell Ozuna. I know you might be cringing already. I wouldn't blame you. But would the Red Sox pursue this? Hey, Aroldis Chapman. He had his issues in the past, and they went after him. And look what happened with Chapman this past year, right? If the Red Sox felt like the other options out there were not worth it, do they take a chance on someone like Ozuna? I'm not a big fan of it because I don't like the off-the-field stuff that he's gone through in the past. Not a fan of it whatsoever. I'm more thinking about it from, would the front office do this? Hey, they took a chance on Chapman. Would they take a chance on Ozuna? He was one of the most productive hitters in the game not too long ago. He had some injuries this past year. had a down year overall, had a 755 OPS, but 2023, 2024, he had 79 home runs combined. Right-handed bat at Fenway Park, if he's healthy, Marcell Ozuna could probably be a very good option. But again, he comes with the off the field, the issues in the past. So I don't know if I would really be a big fan of this. Hey, people have made their mistakes in the past, and obviously he has not made a lot of good choices in his life. But if you were looking for a guy that's had a good track record when it comes to power from the right side, he has it, right? Again, I'm not a fan of it. I don't want to deal with any sort of nonsense off the field like that, but would the Red Sox take a chance on it if the other options were not coming to fruition? This is really a last resort, in my opinion, especially because he is coming off of an injury-riddled year. If he was coming off of a year where he had 40 home runs, yeah, I mean, maybe maybe people think, all right, maybe. But the injury-riddled year plus the off-the-field issues in the past, I don't know. I don't like it very much. I don't think he's the best option at all. More of a last resort, in my opinion. But, again, front office, would they do it? They might, because he would be cheap, and they want power, right? So if they thought, all right, well, let's do our homework on the guy, let's do all the background checks, let's tap into everything we can, and if he comes up clean, yeah, we can get him on a cheap deal. Listen, I'll say it one more time. Do I want to do it? Not really. But would the front office do it? I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. They did it with Chapman. So I'm just throwing out all the possibilities for you. This is what I'm here for. I'm trying to look at all different angles out there, right? But that is it for the possible lineups. Again, there's so many different ways you could go here. There's a lot of different ways. But if you're only going after one expensive bat, I think you're going to have to tap into different markets. I think you're going to have to obviously go after one of these big free agents, Bregman, Alonso, Schwarber. And I think you got to do the other part of it through a trade. I think Marte or Donovan would be awesome if you could add a power bat. I would love Bregman back, but if I were to go one way or the other, I'd probably go Schwarber or Alonso and then go make a trade for a good hitter, right? If you're looking at possible trade candidates that could give you some power, right? Marte, you could do Bregman and Marte. That's an option as well, right? That's a possibility. I don't see why not. Another option, I was thinking about this earlier. I don't think this happens, but I'm just trying to check off all the boxes here. I'm making sure no stones are left or unturned. I cannot say that phrase. Would the Tigers trade Torkelson? I don't think so. I don't think they would. He just had a good year. The Tigers are looking to stay competitive, obviously. The only reason I think I wonder if they would look into it is because they just have a lot of guys in the mix. I don't know. And if they got back, something good for him, maybe. Could the Red Sox look at him as a first base option and think, all right, well, hey, this guy just hit 30 home runs this past year. First base, Fenway Park, maybe Torkelson could be a great fit. Again, though, I don't think the Tigers move him. I feel like that's just not going to happen. He was on the trade block last offseason, but he was coming off a bad year. The Tigers are looking to stay competitive, and they got to figure out what to do with Skubal, obviously. Could you imagine a scenario where the Tigers traded Skubal and Torkelson, like two of the biggest names on their team? I don't think they would do it. Just a possibility, right? Because they do have a lot of pieces there. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. But everyone, before we do get to the end of the show, we do have one more word from our sponsor. I'll be right back.
If you are still carrying a clunky leather brick that can be mistaken for an old school wallet, may I introduce you to what Eric Kratz is getting himself for the holidays?
I mean, this is the greatest wallet that I've ever seen in my life. Your credit cards fit in here. It's adjustable, lifetime guaranteed. Like this is a must have for the holidays. Absolute must have.
Ridge Olive Matte. That is the design that Kratz has right now, and you can get a hold of that. There's over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from over at Ridge. You can even get a wallet that features every NFL, MLB, or college team. And for a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com/foul to get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com/foul for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about Ridge. Tell them Foul Territory sent you.
Alrighty. So getting back here, wrapping things up, going back to my first option, this is kind of, I would say, what I would love to see the most if they were only going to go after one big bat in free agency. I would love this. If they had Roman and then Marte or Donovan batting 2, and then Alonso batting 3rd, I think that would be great. Now, Casas, he is a big question mark here. I just put Casas here because as of right now, he is with the team, and I don't know. I don't know what he's going to look like for opening day. Is he going to be even ready by then? Is he going to be probably a guy that's maybe even see him around the All-Star break, maybe later on. Maybe they take their time with him. So I just put Casas here just to kind of fill the spot. They could just go a completely different direction. They could move him, or they just keep him down to the minor leagues and they bring in another guy, right, for first base. And Alonso and whoever else can share first base and DH. I wonder if you could see a scenario where even if they hung on to Casas and they went after like a 1-year kind of a guy, where they bring back Nate Lowe. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. Or maybe go after someone like Ryan, or like O'Hearn possibly. Yeah, I don't know. But just saying, I just put Casas here just to really fill the spot. I'm more focused on what's going on and this is without Bregman. I want Bregman back in the fold. And that's where I could also see, this situation too, where if you bring Bregman back, I would love that. And then you go after Okamoto for first base. Or, but then you think about it too. If you go after a second baseman, I mean, what happens with Meyer at that point? So Meyer in this situation, if you bring Bregman back, Meyer's your second baseman, which I think could actually be great because they need to shore that spot up. So does Bregman actually work as well as bringing in Donovan or Marte, if that were possible? I don't know. So that's where I think if you bring in Bregman, more likely Meyer plays second, and then you go after a first baseman, right? Like Okamoto, who's cheaper. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm spitballing here. That's pretty much what this whole show was about here tonight. But I am going to wrap it up right there. We've gone on a little too long here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But if you can on the way out for me, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Again, apologies about still not having my Twitter. Listen, I've been trying. I've been trying every single day. I think I have sent in a report probably 5 times a day. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it won't even let me submit a report anymore. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to get my account back. I really don't. And that's really upsetting because, whatever. It's just Twitter at the end of the day. It's just social media. But it's more so I put a lot of time and effort into it. And for it to just kind of end like that, it's a little disappointing. But it is what it is. But it was great to have that because I was able to connect with all of you out there, just talking throughout the day and giving you my stupid ideas that you all could tell me how terrible they were. And we'll see what happens. But I'm not feeling good about it. I'm not saying unfollow me on there, but I don't know. I'm just I'm very disappointed with X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm very disappointed in the entire system. because I've tried everything. I've submitted different kind of reports. I've tried emailing. Nothing works. And it's honestly a shame that is how they're running things over there. I don't know. I could sit here and complain about it, but it is what it is. What can you do? So, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you're kind of the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.